Morning, Kirsten. Long time no see. So today's topic is Heart Sutra. That's a tough one. But before we start, let's sit for 1 or 2 minutes in silence. Okay, Heart Sutra, the diamond of all the Buddha's teachings. If I use a pyramid to describe Buddha's teaching, the foundation is Theravada, or small vehicle, more focused on self-liberation by morality and concentration or meditation, the foundation. In the middle, we have Mahayana, majorly, includes Prajñā or wisdom, also includes Dharana. So at the foundation of the pyramid of Buddhism, the foundation is Theravada. And the middle part is Mahayana. And on top, in Tibetan Buddhism, we call Vajrayana. And on the tip of the pyramid of Buddhism, this is Heart Sutra. Okay. In Chinese, it's only like 108 characters. In 108 characters of Chinese, you have to express the essence of Buddha's teaching, which includes thousands, maybe millions of sutras or commentaries. That is not easy. So today's topic, Heart Sutra, if you understand Heart Sutra, you understand all the Buddha's teaching. That's why Heart Sutra is so important. It's like a, for me, from my personal experience, it's like a light in the darkness. It guides me the way, especially when you go deep and deep or higher and higher. You need a map. You need something that really a textbook. In the modern educational system, we need textbook, a standard, right, to pass or to fail. So Heart Sutra is like a standard to measure when you go closer and closer to the infinity or the ultimate. It's a map. It's a textbook to tell you, are you qualified or not? Are you on the right path or no? So it's so important. And it contains the wisdom from the realized person like Buddha, like Maha Bodhisattvas or Mahasattvas, like Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, or Maitreya Bodhisattvas, the greatest realizer, only secondary to Buddha. In Chinese, we say 观音、世智和弥勒. So Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva and Manjusri Bodhisattva and Mature Bodhisattva, and it's all the Sanskrit, right? Anyway, we can start now. If you look at the Wikipedia, just have a little bit outlines here. Let's paste here again. We are in the same page. The Heart Sutra, Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya. So Prajna means wisdom. Paramita means 6 perfections or 6 parameters to perfect your stage of awakening, to go to the final destination, which is Buddhahood. There's 6 parameters. Prajna means wisdom. So Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya, Hidaya. 般若波罗蜜多心经, the heart of the perfection of wisdom. You see, the sutra famously states, form is emptiness, or sunyata, and emptiness is form. So this is a middle way of looking of emptiness and form. Anyway, we'll go back here. Maybe this is the essence of essence. 色即是空，空即是色 in Chinese we say. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. It is condensed expose on the Buddhist Mahayana teaching of 2 choices. So 2 choices, if we the conventional truth and ultimate truth. You can click on the 2 choices. Differentiates between 2 levels of satya, truth, or reality in teaching of Shakyamuni Buddha, conventional or provisional truth and ultimate truth. So empty and formless, or formless is form and emptiness, right? So form is in the domain of relative truth or conventional truth or provisional truth, and emptiness is in the domain of ultimate truth. But these 2 truths actually is one truth. But for modern mind to understand, Buddha divided into 2 truths. His intention is to, by understanding the relative truth or conventional or provisional truth, it will lead us to the understanding of ultimate truth. By understanding the form, we understand the emptiness. Actually, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Middle way. It's something like a coin of 2 sides. Okay, you cannot separate this side from the other side because these 2 sides coexist. Another metaphor I use very often is waves and ocean. You cannot separate waves from ocean, and the ocean manifests as waves. They are one thing, but depends how do you look at it, right? That's the meaning of 2 truths here. 2 truths again is from the philosopher Nāgārjuna, Madhyamaka. So Madhyamaka is the middle way, lays the foundation of emptiness, which is dependent arising. So a lot of terms in Buddha's teaching, it took me like a couple of years to figure out and to connect this term with other term and this term with other term. So it's like a web of terminology, and each one has some connection with that everyone else. That's the beauty of Buddha's teaching. It's not, and then no concept or no understanding is independent from every other understanding. It's our mind. It's the structure of our mind. It's so beautiful. Nāgārjuna Madhyamaka. I talked about Nāgārjuna and Madhyamaka the day before, right? But anyway, we are back to the Heart Sutra. Because of the Heart Sutra is so condensed, so it relates to every other Buddha's teaching. If you go on, dependent on other phenomena or dependent arising, so all phenomena are empty of an inherent self or essence due to the non-existence of the self. So back to the metaphor, waves and the ocean. A wave has no essential self. So we call here non-existence of self, anatta. A wave is a temporary or fleeting manifestation of the entire ocean. In itself, it don't have a substantial essence or element that can be called a self. And a wave is depending on every other waves. Make sense? So it's the best metaphor is waves and ocean. Every wave is empty of inherent self or essence due to the philosophy of dependent arising and anatta, which is non-existence of self. So in this, you see impermanence, which is fleeting, changing characteristics of every phenomena. Impermanence related to suffering. If you cling to something which is impermanent, you suffer. So impermanence, suffering, and because of impermanence, because of the codependent arising, phenomena are empty or no self. You see impermanence, suffering, codependent arising, and the last one is no self. These four elements is closely related. And hopefully I clearly depict this picture of Buddha's teaching. All of them, is like from this point, there's 4 lines: impermanence, non-self, suffering, and dependent arising. And from these 4 branches, each branch contains a lot of huge information, but all comes from this Heart Sutra, the teaching of emptiness and form. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. The highest wisdom that you may understand and apply it into everyday life. Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya. Okay. Mahaparamita. Okay, let's back to the Heart Sutra. So we are from the Two Truths doctrine back to Heart Sutra again. So the sutra famously states, form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. There's another 2 statements following by these 2. The form is no different from emptiness, and emptiness is no different from form. It is condensed expose on Mahayana teaching of 2 truths, and 2 truths, relative and ultimate, are 1 truth. But it's better we can understand it in 2 perspectives, but 2 sides of 1 coin, okay? The ultimate is expressed in relative. The ocean, the entire cosmic ocean is expressed in waves. Waves of what? Waves of body and mind. You. Body, mind also includes the nature. At this moment, the two truths are completely, perfectly expressed. But you, the pure awareness, do you understand it? If you understand the truth is one truth, one taste even, then you are awakened one. It is sufficient to say that if you understand two truths, you are awakened one. Or if you understand the form is emptiness, emptiness is form, you are awakened one. Awakened one, why awaken? The end of suffering. Okay, let's go on. It has been called the most frequently used or recited text in entire Mahayana Buddhism. The text has been translated into English dozens of times from Chinese, Sanskrit, Tibet, as well as all sources of language. Okay. In the sutra, Avalokiteshvara. Okay, if we can click on. So we are on the summary of the sutra. In the sutra, Avalokiteshvara addresses Sariputra. Okay, Sariputra. Just to understand, like Avalokiteshvara, a Bodhisattva, is like a professor. Okay, a professor of wisdom, awakened being. And Sariputra is like a disciple or student. Now there's a class. A professor teaching to a student. Okay, just very simply understand like that. But of course, Avalokiteshvara contains a lot of meanings too. Let's click on Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, who contains compassion of all Buddhas and is the principal attendant of Amitabha Buddha, the future Buddha, on the right side. And on the Amitabha Buddha's left side is Manjusri, which is the representative of wisdom. So Amitabha Buddha is the Buddha or perfectly, completely enlightened being, and with two attendants. On the right is the Avalokiteshvara, the representative of compassion, and on the left is Manjusri Bodhisattva, representative of wisdom. You see, Buddha has two hands or two assistants or two arms. One is compassion on the right, and on the left is wisdom. Compassion and wisdom. That's the Buddha's teaching. I will say wisdom first, and compassion will follow later, naturally. Once you have wisdom, you will have compassion. Wisdom means oneness, means non-dual perception of right view of the world, the family, the who am I, and everything else. Once you have wisdom, right view, right understanding, right behavior, right livelihood, your compassion will arise naturally. So that's why I'm saying wisdom is, in this context, is more important than compassion. And compassion with wisdom is foundless. It will collapse very soon. I talked about this with my two beautiful ladies in my clinic. And compassion without wisdom is, foundless, is without any foundation. So wisdom is the foundation. Again, if you simplify Buddha's teaching into three characters: morality, concentration, and wisdom. So wisdom is the highest teaching of Buddha, but we should just start from the morality first, then concentration or meditation, then we can realize the wisdom, actualize the knowledge. You see, once you have wisdom, the compassion will derive or develop naturally, automatically. Okay, that's Avalokiteshvara. Each word in this Heart Sutra contains huge information. That's why I said to explain or to investigate into the Heart Sutra is so hard. It's very hard. In Chinese, we say, if we go to the second paragraph, etymology of the Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, in Chinese, we say, 观自在. 观自在 is these 2 or 3 Chinese characters is very sufficient. You are Avalokiteshvara, okay? So there's 2 levels of understanding Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. A Bodhisattva that is outside of you as an object of your consciousness. You study her or him, you learn from her or him, you proud, you prostrate, you pray, you respect him or her as an object in your consciousness. That's one level or superficial level of understanding. A deeper level of understanding is you are Avalokiteshvara already. Ouroboros, again, you see, the consciousness is looking back to him or her or itself. 观自在菩萨, that means 观自在菩萨. You notice you are the Avalokiteshvara Buddha. You are so free from the 5 skandhas. Okay, we'll back to the Heart Sutra. Any question you can raise? Because if you don't have a question, you are not a good student. I tell you directly, okay? If you don't have question, you're not a good student. A good student always has a lot of questions to ask. I have so many questions to ask in the past awakening. Sometimes I dig to the sutras. That's why sutras are so important. And Heart Sutra is the essence of essence. Okay, back to Heart Sutra. And we talk about the Avalokiteshvara, right? Then in the Sutra of Avalokiteshvara, 观自在菩萨 addresses Sariputra. Okay, we can click the Sariputra. Sariputra is like a student, okay, of Professor Avalokiteshvara. Sariputra, the son of Sari, is one of the top disciples of the Buddha. He is considered the first of the Buddha's 2 chief male disciples, together with Maudiga Yana. Okay, sorry. Sariputra had a key leadership role in the ministry of Buddha and is considered in many Buddhist schools to have been important in the development of Buddhist Amitabha. He frequently appears in Mahayana sutras and in some sutra is used as a counterpoint to present the Hinayana school of Buddhism. It's like a school need at least 2 people. I mean, a class in a university at least need 2 people, right? A teacher and 1 student. That's the simplified version of class. So Sariputra is the one who always asks questions. Or in a debate, you need at least 2 parties. One party and another party, the second party. So Sariputra is always like used as a counterpoint to present Hinayana school of Buddhism. Okay, or Theravada. I'm not very interested in Hinayana, maybe the Theravada. Actually, all the Hinayana, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana are all one vehicles. Okay, only one vehicle. Just how do you look at it? Look at the pyramid of the Buddhism. There's a foundation, there's a middle part, there's a top part, there's a tip of the tip, Heart Sutra. But actually, it's one pyramid, right? Makes sense? Okay, that's the Sariputra. Every term you can go study by yourself. Maybe I can just Sariputra again. So if you go to the last paragraph of the Sariputra, I mean the last paragraph of the first part, Sariputra is regarded as an important and a wise disciple of Buddha, particularly in Theravada Buddhism, where he is given a status close to second Buddha. In Buddhist art, he is often depicted alongside Buddha, usually to his right. Sariputra was known for his strict adherence to Buddhist monastic rules, as well as his wisdom and teaching ability, giving him the title General of the Dharma. Sariputra is considered the disciple of Buddha who was foremost in wisdom. His female counterpart was Ksema. Okay, let's back to the Heart Sutra. Summary of the Heart Sutra. In the Sutra, Avalokiteshvara addresses Sariputra, explaining the fundamental emptiness, sunyata. So, sunyata is the teaching of Madhyamaka or Nāgārjuna, okay? Emptiness. The fundamental emptiness of all phenomena, known though as the five aggregates of human existence, which is form, or rupa, feeling, or vedana, volitions, sankara, perceptions, and consciousness, samjana and vijnana. Sorry, my poor Sanskrit. Anyway, five aggregations in English: form, feelings, volitions, perception, and consciousness. Sometimes I do notice there's a different notice in. Sometimes we translate as forms, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and then consciousness. So it's really need your understanding from or by meditation. Why? Because each term contains huge information. You need not only a textbook to guide you, but also you need to test it by your meditation. In meditative state, you can tell which one is more accurate. Anyway, we Avalokiteshvara famously states form is emptiness, emptiness is form, and declares the other skandhas to be equally empty, that is, dependently originated. Pay attention here. Emptiness is dependently originated, okay? Or emptiness is form. Form is dependent arising. And Nāgārjuna, the founder of emptiness or Madhyamaka, states famously, in Chinese we say, 众因缘生法，我说即是空，亦是假名，亦是中道义. So he relates the emptiness, dependent arising, he relates emptiness with dependent origination or dependent arising. All the phenomena is empty because of the dependent arising. Okay, that's very critical understanding here. And because of dependent arising, nothing has a true self. Or all the phenomena thing, like computer, like my body and mind, like you body and mind, is empty or has no true self. It's like the ripples in the ocean has no substantial essence. If you truly understand this, you end the sufferings, because all the suffering is related to the wrong identification with the body and mind. No self. There's no one to be born. There's no one to die. That's the essence of teaching. That's why Heart Sutra is so important. Okay. Avalokiteshvara then goes through some of the most fundamental Buddhist teachings, such as the Four Noble Truths. Okay, Four Noble Truths is the teaching of the first turning of Dharma. So Buddha has four turnings of Dharma, and maybe we'll talk about three turnings of Dharma later. But Four Noble Truths is the teaching of the first turning of Dharma. So if you click on Four Noble Truths, the truth of the noble one, the truth of reality for spiritually worthy one, 贤人, we call it 贤人 in Chinese. The truth are dukkha, or suffering, or not being at ease. Are you at ease every time? Or are you at ease when you watching the bombing news from the TV? No, you're not at ease. Most of people are so, stimulated or agitated by the news, by the bad news, by the war, by the conflict, by the injustice. That's a dukkha. That's suffering. Okay. And the second noble truth, samudaya, or origin of the suffer, the cause of the suffering. And the third one, the end of suffering, the cessation, the nirvana. And the fourth one, the path leading to the end of suffering. Okay, that's the Four Noble Truths. Suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path leading to the end of suffering. Four Noble Truths. If you understand the Four Noble Truths, you are a truthy one. You are worthy one. But, my dear friend, listen carefully. Four Noble Truths are relative teaching of Buddha. Again, we back to the two teachings, relative truth or conventional truth and the ultimate truth. And the Four Noble Truths are relative teaching or belongs to the conventional truth. Ultimately, there's no suffering. Because there's no suffering, then there is no cause of suffering. There's no end of suffering. There's no path leading to the end of suffering. Suffering is our illusion. That's why I say Four Noble Truths are relative teaching. It does not means to say the relative teaching or the Four Noble Truths has no value. No, I'm not saying that. Okay, it is valuable for the awakened being. But once you awaken, Four Noble Truths, the teaching of Four Noble Truths are convenient way of Buddha's teaching. Okay, it's like if someone gets sick, then you have medication to counteract that sickness. Make sense? But if one is perfect and has no sick at all, sickness is not sick at all, no, you don't use medication. So these are relative medication, sickness and medication. If you don't have sickness, then there's no medication either. Because you are awakened, so now Buddha has this relative teaching of Four Noble Truths. You got it? If you are on the other words, if you are awakened, you don't need the Four Noble Truths. That sometimes we are so lost in the Buddha's teaching. What? Sometimes Buddha say this, sometimes Buddha say that. All the Buddha's teaching is relative. I mean, is subject to a condition, a situation, an illusion, or an awakened mind. Do you follow? Hello. Sorry, I just back to this chat box. Hello, Puteri. Long time no see. Thanks for coming. Today my topic is Heart Sutra. A hot call. Heart Sutra is so hot. It's the essence of Buddha's teaching, right? So now we try to decode this essence, which is infinite. That's not easy. Heart Sutra contains infinite information. I will say that. Okay, I may not finish this, but I will continue and stop somewhere. So, Four Noble Truths: suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path leading to the end of suffering. Relative teaching of Buddha, but it's very practical. It's very helpful. Okay. Back to. So you see, in this Heart Sutra contains a lot of basic teaching of Buddha: Four Noble Truths, emptiness, dependent arising. That's a very big one already. And non-self, impermanence, suffering. Okay, let's go on. So we're still on the third paragraph, or the summary of the sutra, the second paragraph of the summary of the sutra. Avalokiteshvara then goes through some of the most fundamental Buddhist teachings, such as Four Noble Truths, and explains that in emptiness, none of these notions apply. You see, in emptiness, Four Noble Truths doesn't apply. This is interpreted according to the Two Truths doctrine we have talked about, right? As saying that teachings, while accurate description of conventional truth, are mere statements about reality. They are not reality itself, and they are therefore not applicable to the ultimate truth that is by definition beyond mental understanding. Thus, the Bodhisattva, the archetypal Mahayana Buddhist, that's like primal Bodhisattva in Buddha's teaching is this Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, and some others like Maitreya Bodhisattva and Manjusri Bodhisattva. Okay. And there's another one, some Buddha Bhadra. Okay. Let's go on. So that's the archetypal Mahayana Buddhist, relies on the perfection of wisdom. Again, Wisdom is the highest teaching of Buddha, defined in the Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya Sutra to be the wisdom that perceives reality directly without conceptual attachment, thereby achieving nirvana. You see so many beautiful words here. Now, from maybe it's your first time, maybe it's not, but every time I study these words like attachment, nirvana, or reality, every time I have different understanding because every word contains huge, infinite informations. So repetition is a key here, to repeat these words. Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya 般若经, we can click on this. 摩诃般若波罗蜜多经 large Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya Sutra is a group or family of Mahayana sutras of Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya. Jant. Modern scholars consider this to later expansion based on the earlier Astasakraka Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya Sutra. Okay. Let's back to the Heart Sutra. So the sutra concludes with the mantra Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisattva, meaning gone, gone, everyone gone to the other shore, to the freedom, to the liberation or awakening. Why? Because that's our purpose of life here, to understand we are originally perfect, complete, we are originally free, we're originally pure, we're originally undefiled, unconditioned. The Prajñāpāramitāhṛdaya Sutra are pointing to. It's crazy. Okay, popularity and statue. The Heart Sutra is the single most commonly recited, copied, and studied scripture in East Asia Buddhism. Of course, because it's essence of essence, okay? Let's go to the versions. There are two main versions of Heart Sutra, a short version and a long version. The short version was as translated by Xuanzang. So Xuanzang is very fundamental in Chinese Buddhism development. Let's click on Xuanzang. Xuanzang, 602 to 664. So his lifespan is 62 years, right? His family name is Chen Hui or Chen Yi. Moksadeva was 7th century. Xuanzang was a 7th century Chinese Buddhist monk, scholar, traveler, and translator. He is known for the epoch-making contribution to Chinese Buddhism, the travelogue of his journey to India. He spent like 17 years in India, including the two travels from China to India and India back to China. If I'm right, we'll click 17 years in India to bring the sutras back to China from India. That's a huge, huge effort. Trust me. He almost died a couple of times in the journey to India. Because, geographically speaking, from China to India is not easy. You have to go through the deserts, mountains, Himalayas, and it's really difficult even now. Or otherwise, sometimes we call it the Silk Road, right? Silk Road. Chinese is famous for the silk, and the silk was brought to Western countries through that road we call Silk Road, or Silk Road inland or by sea. But at that time, more by land. The seas or boat, the carriers is not so well developed. So his translation, the Xuanzang's translation, including this Heart Sutra, he was only able to translate 75 distinct sections of total 1,335 chapters, but his translation includes some of the most important Mahayana sutras, including this Heart Sutra. Okay, that's Xuanzang. And based on his journey to India, there's a story or novel, The Journey to the West, which included the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. We have a lot of animations about this Monkey King. Anyway, it's based on the true story of the Xuanzang's journey to West or to India. Let's go directly to content, okay? Content of this Wikipedia link of Heart Sutra. Various commentaries divide this text into different numbers of sections. In the long version, there exists a traditional opening. Thus, I have heard, and Buddha, along with the community of bodhisattvas and monks gathered with Avalokiteshvara and Sariputra at the mountain peak located at the Rajya. Okay, let's go on. You can read by yourself because it's such a long, information here, right? The sutra then described the experience of liberation of bodhisattva, of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, as a result of a vipassana. So vipassana insights or wisdom gained while engaged in deep meditation to awaken the faculty of prajna. Okay, deep meditation is not necessary you sit there doing nothing. So I want to have a clear explanation here. Meditation or deep meditation has two understandings. You sit there doing nothing, really in a high or deep meditative state. That's one aspect, one level of understanding. A deep meditation could have more or deeper meaning that you're doing something now, you are thinking, you're engaging with your mind, yet you are in a deep meditative state. That's the deeper meaning. The deeper meaning, of course, has is a more advanced level, but it starts from a sitting meditation, leg crossed, or full lotus or half lotus, or just sit there, or just lie on your bed. Oh, okay, that's the meditation has two levels of standing, okay? The insight refers to apprehension of fundamental emptiness. You see, sunyata. Sunyata is the teaching of the teaching of Nāgārjuna, the Madhyamaka school, right? This emptiness of all phenomena known through and as five aggregates, feel and form can be understood as everything you see, like a tree, a dog, a people, a star, an item. Then feelings, your feelings, your like pleasant, unpleasant, angry, sadness, and so on, right? And the volition or sanskara, mental formations, how you translate, how you interpret is really important. How you understand the form and feelings. Okay. Then there's perception. Perception is so important. It's prior to your understanding, actually. How you perceive determines how you understand, or is really closely related. Then, from this form, feelings, mental formations, or volitions and perceptions, the previous four, then you draw a conclusion. That's a knowledge or consciousness. Most of time for world people, our conclusion or consciousness are limited, even distorted. Is not a real understanding or authentic understanding of reality. So basically, we call it a limited understanding, okay, or individualized understanding. So I talk about these 5 skandhas or 5 aggregates before. You can check my YouTube channel, 5 skandhas. The ability of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva is he or she can see through the 5 aggregates or 5 skandhas and see the essence is emptiness. Any questions? Okay. I'm thirsty now. Okay, Kirsten has a question here. Good student, Kirsten. So, would deep meditation relate to how you have drawn on wisdoms of many teachers and teachings to bring the interconnected recipe of wisdom that you share? Yes. How you draw wisdom? Interconnected recipe wisdoms. So basically, we have 4 wisdoms, right? I talk about these wisdoms. The first wisdom, which will, how to say, on which or from which other 4 or 5, 3 wisdoms will develop. So the first one is really, really important. We call it great mirror-like wisdom. Great mirror-like. I will text here. Let's pause a little bit. Great mirror-like wisdom. 大圆定智 in Chinese. So this great mirror-like wisdom is something like open monitoring. You can open monitor anything outside, inside, without any labeling, resistance, and attachment. So it's like a flat mirror or flat lake. Completely reflects everything around the lake or around the mirror without any distortion. A distortion mirror could be like a magic mirror, or I'll say fun-making mirrors. You are so hugely distorted and you laugh at your own reflections. So a great mirror like wisdom is a completely pure flat mirror that reflect anything around it as it is, without any distortions. So that's the first wisdom. Then we have wisdom of equality, wisdom of investigation, and the wisdom of all accomplishment. But I don't want to go that far because this great mirror-like wisdom is the first step we need to develop or establish. Couple of seconds of silence to really experience this great mirror-like wisdom. Okay, if you are still enough, you see, you can reflect things. Everything that around you, inside you, are perceived. Without any resistance, judgments, and labeling. That's great mirror-like wisdom, on which we'll develop other 3 or 4 wisdoms: investigative, all completion, and equal or equality, wisdom of equality. So beautiful. Yes, then back to your question. In deep meditation, you understand the 4 wisdoms naturally. It's your actualized wisdom. And please be reminded, the 6th patriarch, Master Huilan, said, apply the meditation and wisdom equally. 50% of meditation or concentration or samatha, and another 50% of wisdom. So we apply this stillness and mind. When I say stillness, is the foundation of your reasoning, logic, analyzing mind, or in Buddha's teaching we call it investigative mind. You can study things, but a study without this foundation of inner stillness and silence is baseless. That's why a compassion without wisdom is baseless. Because wisdom is developed from this inner stillness, from this samatha, from this great mirror-like wisdom. And you are the, and I'll try to finish the first question, Kristen. So you said it is you who bring all the different teachings connected, or you are the core or hub that is connecting to every teacher's teaching, but you have realized it, the 4 wisdoms by yourself. Then no matter what teaching this teacher use this word or that word or this lineage or that lineage, Madhyamaka, or Yogacara or emptiness or impermanence, you understand it all because you are the realization of all the teachings. So yes, you're right. You draw on the wisdoms of many teachers and teachings to bring the interconnected recipe of wisdom that you share. I use cooking again. You study a recipe of cooking, yes, like Italian food or Chinese food or any food. Then you go to the markets to buy the things, to shop different, stuff like, veggies, meat, or how to say, spice. Then you cook by yourself, and that is your cooking. That's your cooking from different lineage, and it's your taste of cooking, and it's yours. And everyone has very unique way to express this ultimate teaching or ultimate truth. That's called relative. Very interesting. This related to another question I was pondering, related to how deep meditation, Heart Sutra, wisdom relate to them. Not judge, resist, attach. From your earlier sharing, yes. So, first step is you stop that resisting, attaching, and the labeling or judging. That's the first step. Then from that stillness or silence or emptiness, you can use it, okay? You can use your professionalism. You can use your background. You can use your career and technique to teach, to share. So the judgment, the resistance, or the attachment dissolves into more convenient technique or convenient ways to teach. Your background is still there, your personality is still there, but now it don't influence you anymore. They don't disturb you anymore, you see, because you see the emptiness of your judgments, resistance, or your background. You see the emptiness of your background, your family, your education, your knowledge. But it does not mean that it's futile, is not useful. Okay, it's useful. Now you can use all your background, your knowledge, your education to teach, to share. That's the second step. The first step, you're letting go. The second step is you pick it up. Sometimes, this reminds me a question by Nick. Actually, it's my friend, and sometimes we he asks me some questions, right? How do you letting go? There's just two meaning or understanding of letting go. Letting go of your resistance and judgments and attachments. That's one meaning. And it's a first step. And once you can letting go, try to grasp. It's not grasp. Try to touch something you can use to teach, to awaken others. That's the beauty of Buddha's teaching. You see, the balance between samatha and vipassana. We need wisdom or investigative mind to share. Like now, I'm using my investigative mind to share, to teach, to express, right? And to learn. But all these words or teaching or sharing or knowledge does not disturb me anymore. It only becomes my tool to serve, to love, to care, to teach, to learn. And I'm free from all the tools now. And once you can letting go, actually you can grasp more. I mean, you can understand more. It's like an empty cup. Once you can empty it, you can hold another liquid or something else. Then you empty again, you have another chance to empty. For example, the first time is apple juice, then you empty apple juice. The second time is milk, you empty milk. Then the third time is water, you empty water. Then you have always infinite possibilities to hold on, to learn, to understand, to hold. You see, I don't use the grasp anymore. I don't use the attach anymore. But this is a freedom. This is maybe another understanding of emptiness. Emptiness is form. Emptiness, once you can empty, you can hold other things. Apple juice, orange juice, milk, or wine, or water, or just air. You see, that's called emptiness. Emptiness means you have all the infinite possibilities to form, to become a form, to have a sensation, to have a feeling, to have a perception, to have a mental formation. Let it come and formulate it. Make it your cooking. You are the chef of the life. You are the chef of your relationship, your background, your job, your beliefs. Why not? It's a good cooking. It's a delicious cooking. You see, Heart Sutra is so profound. It leads to different ways, right? Sometimes, yeah, it's a interesting part of sharing this Heart Sutra. It could go this way, it could go that way, it could go those ways, and these ways, ups and downs, and left and right, west and east, and south and north. So many different ways. That's why sometimes I said, every road leads to Rome. So in this scenario or context, Heart Sutra is Rome because it contains infinite information, energy, and matter. Heart Sutra is the tip of the Buddha's teaching as a pyramid. It's the tip of the pyramid. It's like in a circle, there's a dot, how to say, the central point. So the central point can connect to any dots on a circle, and it has infinite connections to the circle, right? So if we expand that circle of 2 dimension, you expand a sphere. So in the center, there's a central point, and from this central point, you can connect to any dot in the sphere, and you have infinite possibilities, right? So same is here. The Heart Sutra is the central point of the circle or sphere, and it connects to every point of that circle or sphere. In the same way, when I say each road leads to Rome, Rome is the central point of a sphere or circle. Once you are in the Rome, you know which way people are coming from. Could be an artist, could be a scientist, could be a professor, could be a doctor, could be an engineer, could be a software developer, just go the cashier, or just a plain layman. Each road leads to this final destination. We call it awakening, we call it nirvana, we call it the enlightenment, we call it the bliss, we call it heaven, or whatever you call it. Each road leads to Rome. And you are standing in the Rome right now. Do you recognize it? That's all. I realize it. And you can, or maybe you have realized already. Congratulations them. We are standing in a field of infinite possibilities, but manifested in this unique form, body and mind. In this unique understanding of relationship, of nature, of cosmos, of society, of humanity, everyone is a precious perception, organic, living perception of understanding of this ultimate truth. But once you can let go this uniqueness, then you dissolve yourself into commonality or universality of this cosmic intelligence or the field, the vacuum, the emptiness. That's all. And yet you can manifest it as this form again, and this Asian look normal looking dome, body and mind. And you, Kirsten, or anyone else of YouTuber, you are in a very unique way of body mind. But once you realize in this uniqueness, it contains commonality or universality, you are awakened. So easy, you see? Principle is so easy. You are not a drop in the ocean anymore. Your entire ocean in one drop. And there's no separation between this drop and ocean. And there's no separation between ocean and drop. Emptiness is form. Form is emptiness. Our body and mind is a dancing waves or ripples of this cosmic intelligence we call cosmic ocean. That's all. That's your realization. That's called oneness. That's called non-duality. You will understand every teachings of different lineage. Is the Pure Land? Is the conscious only school, or is the Madhyamaka? Is the Yogacara? Is the Theravada or Pure Land or flower garland lineage? You understand all. And because now you're sitting in a room, you see, right? You're sitting in a room and watching, oh, this is the lineage, that is the different lineage, this is the third, this is the fourth. Every road leads to Rome. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you. You're developed. You see your progress in this path, right? And every time you feel like echoed or resonated, you feel, wow, so good. I feel so good. This is the healing, Kirsten. This is the deepest, highest healing. That's why Buddha is the greatest doctor. It heals you. He or she heals you at the deepest, highest level. Heart. Once your heart, you can open your heart. Your mind will be open. Your body will be open too. You will be relaxed. You will be joyful. You will be peaceful. You will be blissful. You will be ecstatic. You will be, you will be, any possibility becomes your, any potential becomes your possibility. And the most profound understanding is this: you transcend death and birth, or birth and death. You transcend birth and death, which means you notice that you are immortal. In this life, in this moment, in this very moment, you are playing, you are learning. you are experiencing. You're trying to reach the infinity, yet you can never reach infinity because it's infinite. No one can declare that I am infinite. I mean, there's really infinite knowledge, right? Omniscient. Only Buddha can declare. I want to explain right here. Yes, you are originally Buddha, but to realize your infinity, you need time. It's like time is the expression of timeless. Timeless is expressed in time. Timelessness is expressed in time. Spacelessness is expressed in space. Or emptiness is expressed in form. And form is an expression of emptiness. That's the beauty. There's no separation at all. Right now, you are timeless and you are in time. Right now, you are spaceless and yet you are in space. It's a total middle way, a complete harmony between dualities. You are non-dual and the dual at the same time. You are in form and emptiness at the same time. So this remind me, okay, beautiful. This remind me Nāgārjuna, the founder of Madhyamaka, the founder of emptiness, I would say. He has another teaching. He has 8 negations. There's no birth, there's no death. There's no permanent, there's no impermanent. Or there's neither permanence nor impermanence. You see the total balance between impermanence and permanence, birth and death. There's no birth, there's no creation, there's no destruction. Okay, sometimes they use different words or translations. There's no birth and death, or there's no creation and destruction or cessations. And that's the first 4 negations: no birth, no death, or no creation and no destruction. That's the first 2. Then the third and fourth is there's no impermanence. There's neither impermanence nor permanence, or there's no mortality nor immortality. Okay, there's neither immortality nor mortality. Different translations. Just I try to offer you that different words like may make rings a bell in your heart or mind. There's no singularity or manifoldness. How to say? There's no oneness nor duality. There's neither oneness nor duality. So oneness and duality is one. Or non-dual and dual is one. That's the highest teaching of the Heart Sutra, actually. This 8 negations is developed in the second section of Heart Sutra. I just improvise here right now. That's why the Heart Sutra is a textbook, okay? It's a standard to measure, are you awakened or not? Are you on the correct path or wrong path? Are you authentic or not authentic? It's a measure. It's a standard. That's why Heart Sutra is so important and it's so hard to explain to. Okay, that's so the 5th and the 6th. There's no oneness and there's no duality, or there's no singularity, or no multiplicity. Okay, that's the fifth and the sixth. So I'm talking about 8 negations by Nāgārjuna, who is the founder of Madhyamaka. If you want to develop your spirituality deeper and deeper, higher and higher, you have to understand 2 major schools of Buddhism, which is Madhyamaka. The first one is Madhyamaka. The founder is Nāgārjuna, and the second group is schools of Buddhism is Yogacara, the founder of Asanga and Vajrabandhu. So different schools, 2 major schools of Buddhism, Madhyamaka and Yogacara. If you want to deepen your understanding, you must understand literally at least these 2 schools of. It's also philosophy too. It's if you know now J. Garfield, a professor in the United States. He has very good understanding of Madhyamaka and Yogacara, and I can maybe just text here in the chat box. J. Garfield. I'm listening one of the. Hopefully, I just want to make sure my spelling is booked. Just give me one sec. J. Garfield. Yeah. You can YouTube. A very beautiful soul, alive, have a very beautiful understanding, profound understanding of philosophy of Buddhism, and try to teach everybody. And I'm also watching one of his YouTubes. So okay, I text here. J. Garfield. Okay, if you really want to understand philosophy of Buddhism, like a structure, or like a frameworks of Buddhism or philosophies of Buddhism, you have to study the Madhyamaka and the Yogacara. And J. Garfield has very beautiful YouTube contents there. J. Garfield. My gratitude for this beautiful soul, alive, which is really not very common. Okay. Okay, so we're talking about the Nāgārjuna's 8 negations. Actually, why not? I just paste you 8 negations here. I will find the 8 negations. Okay. You can Google some more, but I do find different versions of translation of these 8 negations. Oh, this is so long. I cannot paste this link in the chat box because it's too long. So 8. Let me find another one here. Okay, here's the one. You can click this 8 negations by Nāgārjuna. Is the profound teaching of you can understand emptiness by looking into this 8 negations. So again, negation is the best way to describe infinity. Negation is the best way to decode the ultimate. Because also in the neti, right? Neti. That's a negation of the everything you can imagine. Then once you stop imagination, it's there. Once you stop using the thought or mind, the ultimate, or at least the application of the ultimate will emerge. That's the beauty of negation. Or otherwise, you use affirmation. You are this, you are that, you are empty, you are non-dual, right? Anyway. Yeah. Yes, sometimes, hello, Miss Zen. Yes. This is English, although this is English. I like the Heart Sutra changed by harmony. Plum Village, Thich Nhat Hanh. Yes, I'm studying like minutes ago this Heart Sutra by Thich Nhat Hanh. I can paste it here right now too. Who is saying? Oh no, I'm using the background music. It's a it's a mantra. Yeah, it's a mantra. So I pasted the Heart Sutra translation by Thich Nhat Hanh, which is quite simple. And sometimes I can read the minds of Thich Nhat Hanh, because to translate this condensed Heart Sutra is so difficult. And Thich Nhat Hanh wanted to express this infinite meaning in very simple words. That's the difficulty of translation too. So in this way, we understand a lot of I pay my gratitude to the different translators. A translation of this, like a Heart Sutra, a Diamond Sutra, or the Flower Garland Sutra, or Amitabha Sutra, the translator must be awakened one, okay? Otherwise, he cannot understand the meaning of the words at all. And if he's not awakened and he wants to translate, oh, that sucks, because that will mislead the readers, okay? Because imagine you are not qualified professor, now you want to teach the undergraduate students in university. That sucks. That will mislead the students. So my attributes to Nāgārjuna, to Xuanzang, to Thich Nhat Hanh, to all the translators which have put huge efforts in translation. My dear friend, my dear Dharma friend, now you can read these translations because of the translators, okay? No matter from which language to which language, the translators have huge effort in this translation. And Miss Sen said, you are lucky to speak Chinese and be awakened. You can have access to texts like the Tao De Jing or the Heart Sutra. Yes, it is until I immigrate to Canada, I cherish my Chinese background more. When I was just in China, I don't cherish Chinese or Chinese background because I don't have that comparison. Especially when you try to study the sutras, if you have English version and Chinese version, sometimes I compare these two versions. Oh, this is good translation, and sometimes it's not good, not so good translation. Thich Nhat Hanh's translation is really beautiful and so simple. That's Thich Nhat Hanh, prostration to Thich Nhat Hanh. And also in the history of translation, Xuanzang, the monk in the 7th centuries who traveled to India and brought a lot of sutras and do a lot of translations, supported by government of Tang Dynasty. So Tang Dynasty was the most prosperous dynasty in China, which around, I think, from 618 to 9-8. So from 618 to 9-8, almost 300 years of Tang Dynasty. It's also the most prosperous development of Chinese Buddhism in China. Why? Because the government, the emperors, the high officials in the government supported the Buddhism. For example, Xuanzang, one of the fourth translators in Chinese Buddhism history, one of the fourth. Maybe I will talk later, different. And I talk about the 鸠摩罗什. 鸠摩罗什 is the second one. Anyway, there's maybe hundreds of different translators, but this four is really famous, and Xuanzang is one of them. So the government supported Xuanzang for the translation. The Tang Taizong, the Thai emperor, build a temple for him, for Xuanzang, and bring a lot of monks to support for the translation. Do you know how big the group of translation is? 3,000 workers or colleagues, a bureau of translation, you can call it. It's really high-level translation, only happened in China. And because of this highly organized, officially organized translation bureau, then you can see a lot of different, beautiful translations. Imagine you are poor, and no one supported you for translation. You have to make a living, right? But now Xuanzang can just do nothing, but only focus on translation on every other 3,000 translators or co-workers. You need a lot of money and resources, editors, people to connect, to bring the sutras from India to China, to put everything. The compilation of the book is not easy at all. Even now, it takes huge effort to write a book, right? Anyway, that's yes, Miss Zhang, you're so right. My background as Chinese, also as a practitioner of Chinese medicine, which is based on Taoism, helps me a lot. That's why I can, go on this path of awakening without any, rest of energy. My focus is now on path awakening. After this, almost like 90 minutes of sharing Saturday night, and this afternoon I have a face-to-face, workshop. There's 3 beautiful ladies will come to my clinic, and we sit there talking about same thing, like awakening, like a end of suffering, the original suffering, the world is suffering, and the path of leading to the end of suffering. All this so beautiful. There's nothing can beat this. Nothing. Yeah, my gratitude to my parents, my ancestors, also everyone, you know, who is on past awakening. There's so many karmic reasons or karmic forces, causes and conditions, which is leading you to the path of awakening. Let's thank for all of this. Our gratitude, appreciations to the teachers, to the sages, to the bodhisattvas, to the translators, to the Buddhas, to the masters, patriarchs. Now, from here, we can expand our appreciation and gratitude to families. Without parents, you won't be here. Without food, you won't be here. Without air, nature, you won't be here standing or sitting there listening or watching this YouTube. So appreciations or gratitude to food, to air, to family, to some unpleasant experience too, to some unpleasant, disgusting people too, because that's the moment you learn how to be calm. Okay, to some bad memories too. It may sound weird, but the real teaching is the moment you recognize you're disturbed. Okay, the moment you recognize you're disturbed, you are agitated, you are stressful, that's the moment of teaching. And that moment relates to a certain situation or people, a memory, or event or trauma. If you can expand, this moment I am disturbed and related to this event, people, or ugliness, or resistance. Once you noticed you are disturbed, you are learning. Okay, in that perception, you pray for anyone who discourages you. As Jesus teaching, pray for everyone that discourages you. Jesus' teaching and Buddha's teaching are so similar. Love your enemy. Why? Because it's the enemy, or it unfriendless triggers you, and in that moment you have to come back to the inner stillness. He or she or that event or that memory teaches you to be still. So it is your teacher. Make sense? Of course, all the masters, all the patriarchs, all the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas are your teacher. But you have your specific, special teachers. That person, that ugliness, that unpleasantness is your teacher. Do you follow? That's how when your perception changes, all your world changes. The spinning of the Dharma. Can you spin your Dharma? The spinning of a Dharma wheel. Can you spin your own wheels of Dharma? Can you change your perception by wisdoms, by authentic understanding, like Heart Sutra, like Diamond Sutra? Okay, that's all for today. I think, wow, that's the longest session I've done. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you, and see you next tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Vancouver time. Bye now. Thank you.